What up, free bro? Salvation. Hey, you got many mansions. Think about salvation, get the danger. My flesh vain is my heart not trouble, I will pain. We trust in Abba, he the one that kill your problems. We thinking Abba, now we know about that lava. These streets of gold, walking on that road. I can't sell my soul, hell no. I'ma be the light everywhere I go. Ain't no vaccine up in the temple. The devil know that the most I dwelling in you. They trying to shoot you up, that should really offend you.
My cry for mercy as I call on you for help, as I lift up my hands towards your most holy place. I just wanna be worthy. I just wanna be
Shabbat Shalawam, Shabbat Shalawam. What a beautiful, beautiful song that brother made. As he said, he just want to be worthy. And I think that's all. That's what we all want to be, just worthy, right? Shabbat Shalawam. Let's give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Father, Yahawah, and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahushai. Shalawam, shalom, peace and blessings to all of the Ahchwathyam, the Ahchwathyam, brothers and sisters scattered to the four corners of the earth. Wherever you scattered at, we say peace and blessings to you. Please do us a favor, hit that like button, the share, subscribe. What you guys have been doing, a lot of shares been going out, so I appreciate that. And we've been getting a lot of likes, so I appreciate that. It makes it go out into the algorithm and get this edification out, right? Not only for me, but for all the brothers and sisters out there. If we can edify, that's what we try to do. In the chat, we have Jenny Woods. She says, Shalawam, right? Peace and blessings to everybody. Shalawam. Put a 1 in the chat, please, if the audio is clear and everything is clear on the screen. As you can see from the title, it says, what is the law of forgiveness? Now, we know the law comes from the Torah and all those different things written in the law, right? Exodus, Numbers, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, all of those things that were written for us for our knowledge. So we take those things and apply them. A lot of the times, people only read the New Testament. I encourage you to read the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelation. So today we'll just go through a few scriptures. Not going to hold you long because we know in the scriptures it has to deal with forgiveness, love, and so many other things, right? But he says you can hold those two, the whole law, love one another, love your brother, love your sister, love your mother, love your father. And if you love everyone, you will treat everyone as they're supposed to be treated, right? We have Shabbat Shalawam, Mashkapah, Allah Yahawah, Shama Mashiach Yahushai, all praises, Mayan. What else do we have? 1 in the chat, so we are clear. You can hear us. Once again, we're just going to dive into a few scriptures. So I want to show something actually before I go into the scriptures. And I want you to keep this thought in your head and ask yourself, would you be able to do this? And I know for a lot of people, you don't really know until you're in the circumstances, and I completely understand. But I just want to show you that it is possible and it is going on within the world. Let me share my screen and show you this real quick. And then we'll get some scriptures. Let me see. Here we go. So I'm going to play this little short real quick. And as you can see on the screen, it says, could you forgive the person that murdered your son?
You forgive the person that murdered your son? Sam's mother did. She hugged him in court. Sam was tragically killed in an underpass while walking home with dinner for himself and his wife, all over $60 in a bag of food. During a court hearing over 2 years later, Sam's mother did something unprecedented in the eyes of courtroom veterans. After seeking permission from Hamilton County Judge Megan Shanahan, she approached Javon, who had just confessed to his involvement in her son's tragic death, and hugged him. She then embraced Javon's mother. Her actions conveyed a powerful message that she could see beyond the act that claimed her son's life. She pledged to do everything in her power to help Javon become a better person. In her poignant words to him, she stated, "His death was already ordained. Maybe the purpose is to save your life." She emphasized the importance of fighting for these young men despite the terrible tragedy they caused. She recognized that they would eventually re-enter society, and if they were not provided with guidance and support, the cycle of violence could continue, taking more lives in its wake. Her heartfelt plea underscored the shared responsibility to prevent such devastating incidents from happening again. Could you forgive the person that murdered your son?
And that's the question. Could you forgive the person that murdered your son, murdered your dad, murdered your mother, murdered your wife? These are the things that we have to ask ourselves, right? And you can see that it's going on today, that people do forgive one another. They do have forgiveness in their heart, right? And like she said, his murder was already ordained. You can't stop anything that's already ordained through the Most High, right? All these things are predestined. Why? I don't know. Why do we have to go through these things? Why do we have to feel the hurt? Why do we have to feel the pain? Why do we have to feel the suffering? I don't know. I wish I did know and I could relay that to you. But like it says in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, my thoughts are not his thoughts, right? His thoughts are way higher than mine. So I don't know. I don't live from eternity into eternity, everlasting to everlasting. All I could do is bring out the word. So let's go here. And we'll jump into some scriptures, right? Proverbs chapter 4, verse 1. Read that. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 1.
Hear ye children the instruction of the father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, let thine heart retain my ways. Keep my commandments and live.
Keep my commandments and live. I love to start off right here, either Proverbs 3 or Proverbs 4, because he's telling us instructions, right? And he says in verse 2, he has what? Good doctrine. So as long as we hearken to this and kind of reference back to this, we will be okay. It says, forsake not my law. To forsake something means to give up, throw it away, put it in the trash. I don't care. Forsaking is something different than stumbling. Forsaking is something different than falling away. Somebody can fall away, but not forsake the law. Somebody can stumble, but not forsake the law. When you forsake it, it means to leave it. You're done with it. You put what they call when they put a stamp on it, it's done, right? Jump down to verse 25 for me real quick. I think 25 is what I want. Let me see. Yeah, 25 and 26. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 4, verse 25. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the faith of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established.
It said, ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. But before it says that in 25, it says, look, or Salakia, let thy eyes look right on. Remember a couple weeks ago on the Shabbat, we was talking about them glasses, and if you could see, notice it's always talking about you let your eyes look right on. Put on those shades, put on those glasses that he has given us with the knowledge and understanding he has given us to be able to see the world for what it really is. And let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Go ahead, read 27.
Turn not to the right nor to the left. Remove thy foot from you.
So that's all he's asking us. Don't go to the right. Don't go to the left. remove thy foot from evil. Now, a lot of people in the world tell you what evil is, what sin is. And listen, sin and evil can only be defined through the scriptures, through the word of the Most High that he has given us, right? That's the only way it could be defined. Not what would man say, but only what the Most High has ordained through his very word. So how do you learn that? How do you know that? You have to read his word. You have to go back to the Torah. You have to go back to the writings. You have to go back to the prophets to see what's been established. And that's how you will what? Not go to the right or not go to the left. A lot of men tell you that things are a sin. Like, for example, one man preaches that it's wrong to drink alcohol. It's a sin. That's a lie. It's not a sin to drink alcohol, right? It's not a sin. But what is a sin is what? Drunkenness. Somebody who's a wine bibber, somebody who drinks every day. They wake up drinking. They drink all day. They drink all night, right? They stumbling. They falling down. They throwing up, right? That's a drunkard. But if you have a glass of wine on the Passover, if you have a glass of wine once a month or something like that, is it wrong to drink? No. You have to do things in moderation. So this is what I mean by you have to understand what the word is saying, what the scriptures are saying, and not about men. And we're going to get into that today. Let's get in a little more. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy real quick. Deuteronomy 8. Pick that up at the top. Deuteronomy chapter 8, start at verse 1.
All the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy APBTTTMH led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee and to prove thee, to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no.
So go ahead, verse 3, read verse 3 too, because I want to do 2 and 3. Go ahead.
And he humbled thee, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy daughters know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh doth man live.
Now, he's quoting something. Well, in the New Testament, Matthew 4 and 4, this is what Hamashiach Yahushua is quoting when he said man doesn't live by bread alone. He's actually quoting Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3. But I want to focus on 2 and 3 real quick before we move on. It says, and thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy power led thee 40 years. So we know the children of Israel were in the wilderness for 40 years. Why? People always have this question, why were they in the wilderness for 40 years? What were they doing? What was going on? What was happening? Well, we have the answer right here. The reason it took 40 years, because from Egypt to the land of Canaan, it don't take you 40 years to walk to. Right? I'm not sure exactly how long it takes, but it's not 40 years. But he tells us it was to humble thee. So he had to humble those people, right? And to prove, to know what was in thy heart. This is a process that the Most High is letting us know through a period of time in your life. Things that you're going through, things that are happening. You might say, why are these things happening? Like that lady said about her son, how his death was already ordained. But all of these transitions, all of these things that happen within our lifespan, and sometimes it feels like it takes forever to get through these hurdles, but it says it is to what? Humble us. See, a lot of us are too high-minded. A lot of us are prideful, proud, and you might think to yourself and say, well, I don't think that I am. but the scriptures will show you that you truly are. If one cannot forgive, then you're prideful. If one cannot forgive, then you're proud. If one cannot forgive, then you're arrogant. You're high-minded. All of these things go against the Most High. Pride, it actually says, is when you leave the Most High. So he put us out there in the wilderness, and in the wilderness that we're in now, to what? Humble, to prove thee, and to know what was in thy heart. The Most High wants to know what's in your heart. Do you really love him? You know, are you really struggling because you love him? Are you really going through these things because you have that love for him? Are you just willing to throw in the towel? Are you just willing to say, I don't care? That's why he judges differently. He doesn't judge from, like he says, from the eyes or what he hears. He knows what's in your heart. He knows if you're really battling. Yeah, you may have stumbled. Yeah, you may have fallen, or you may be doing good. But it's always things that we need to work on, even when you think you're doing good. Job thought he was doing good. Even the Most High said he was doing good. So good that he was willing to put him to what? A test. So the Most High put Job in this wilderness for a certain period of time. I don't think it was 40 years, but in a metaphor, he put him in this wilderness with who? Satan. And he let Satan attack him. Right? To do what? Prove him. To humble him. And to what? Know what was in his heart. We went through this a couple weeks of Shabbats ago when Job's wife told him to what? Curse the Most High and die. And he told her, you talk like a fool. His friends came along and said something similar. But Job didn't listen to them. Why? Because his heart was for the Most High. And since he didn't go to the right or to the left, he stayed focused on the Most High. What happened at the end? He was given more abundance because the Most High was able to know and prove him and know what was in thy heart, whether thou would keep his commands or no. Verse 3 says, and he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna. What's the manna that we receive now? The very word. Right? This is why Hamashiach in the New Testament said, and when they was in the wilderness, my father gave them manna to eat. But then Hamashiach Yahawashi said, what? I am the true bread that came down from the hcyam. So if he's the true bread, then we're eating manna right now through the word of the Most High. Because he just didn't become the bread in the New Testament. He's always been the bread. He's always been the word. He's always been the manna from the beginning. Because he was there with the Father in the beginning. Which thou knewest not. So we didn't know it. We didn't know that real manna. Some of us still don't know it. Neither did thy fathers know. So these people that was in the wilderness, they had no idea what they were truly receiving. That he might make it known that man doeth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeded out the mouth of the Most High doeth man live. And that's the separation between manna and regular bread. Between the word, truth, and regular bread. You can eat bread all day, all it's going to, especially this bread today, you got all them chemicals in it. It ain't going to do nothing but blow you up. But if you eat this manna, if you eat this bread, it will give you what? Life. It will give you everlasting life. Then he goes on to tell you how much control that he has over the things in this world. Go ahead, verse 4.
Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee. Neither did thy foot swell these 40 years.
So for me personally, I can only speak about me. I've been going through a lot of hits lately, right? Body-wise. You go to these doctors, they don't know what they talking about. They asking you. And it's like, I came to you. You the one went to school for 15 years. And you supposed to be able to tell me, but they don't know. They really don't know what's going on. But who really does know is who? The Most High. He said they was in the wilderness 40 years. 40 years. And nobody foot swell. Nobody had inflammation. Don't get me wrong. They were eating different things. Right? Total different lifestyle. But they had no inflammation. They had no high blood pressure. They had no diabetes. It was none of that. Imagine being somewhere and you in the wilderness. You're not even in good conditions. You in the wilderness. And nobody foot swelled. And the clothes that they had, that they brought out of Egypt with them, it lasted 40 years. And they never wore out. Imagine you, man, I see people wear stuff for a year or two and it's wore down. And you have to take that shirt or a pair of pants and throw it in the trash. Imagine wearing the same thing for 40 years and they still look good and decent. We'll read 5 and then we'll move on. Go ahead.
Thou shalt also consider in thine heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so Yahawah thy hcyam chasteneth thee.
And that's what he does to us, right? Just as you chastise your children, your son, your children, the same thing he does to us. Let's turn to 1 Samuel. Because Israel did something here. Israel did something here. And remember, this lesson is about what? Can anybody tell me what the lesson is about? Forgiveness, right? Once again, let me show it real quick. Bear with me. Once again, just real quick.
Sam's mother did. She hugged him in court. Sam was tragically killed in an underpass while walking home with dinner for himself and his wife, all over $60 in a bag of food. During a court hearing over 2 years later, Sam's mother did something unprecedented in the eyes of courtroom veterans. After seeking permission from Hamilton County Judge Megan Shanahan, she approached Javon, who had just confessed to his involvement in her son's tragic death, and hugged him. She then embraced Javon's mother. Her actions conveyed a powerful message that she could see beyond the act that claimed her son's life. She pledged to do everything in her power to help Javon become a better person. In her poignant words to him, she stated, "His death was already ordained. Maybe the purpose is to save your life." She emphasized the importance of fighting for these young men despite the terrible tragedy they caused. She recognized that they would eventually re-enter society, and if they were not provided with guidance and support, the cycle of violence could continue, taking more lives in its wake. Her heartfelt plea underscored the shared responsibility to prevent such devastating incidents from happening again. Could you forgive the...
What's the most important part there? That they brothers had no guidance. And that's why a lot of our brothers and sisters end up in these certain situations and circumstances, because they had no guidance. I can say that because I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have the guidance that I needed from a young child coming out of my mother's womb and to becoming a young boy. And you need that guidance. I'm not talking about your uncle being around or your cousins, or I'm talking about you need that dad figure in the house every single day, 365 days a year. That mom presence, the dad presence, the whole dynamics of the home, it needs to be the way that the Most High designed it. You need that. And if you don't have that, it's off. And when it's off, it turns everything in our children into the things that you see today. You have a statement or question or answer? Go ahead.
I have a comment.
Comment. Go ahead.
Probably a question. I don't know.
Go ahead.
But being that everything is already predestined and ordained, it happened the way it was supposed to happen. So, do you think that what if you would have had something like that, you wouldn't be where you at right now? Because everything has led you to be where you are right now and what you're doing right now.
Do I think the way that I was raised led me to be where I am today?
No.
What are you saying?
I said, being that everything is ordained
Mm-hmm.
in the Most High's eyes to happen the way it's supposed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
that had you, because you keep saying that if
I had that presence in the home,
right, you
Mhm.
keep saying that, but the Most High had it be the way it needed to be in order for you to be where you at right now.
yeah.
So if you would have had that, maybe you wouldn't have been here where you are now, doing what you're doing now.
It's a possibility.
I mean,
It's a possibility.
If the Most High wants us all to come to Him at one point in time of our lives where we're following Him on our own accord, like how He would want us to be by our own choice, then I would think that everything that has happened has led up for this moment now. For example, our children, they do this. I don't know if it's because they want to or it's because we have them do it. But I know, regardless, there's a mother and a father in the home, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is one that has gone astray, that has a mother and the father in the home,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and was doing everything, but like you stated earlier, you don't know why the Most High has us to suffer and things like that, but I honestly believe those are lessons and those are things that He needs for each individual to have to go through in order to come back to Him in the way that needed to be brought to Him. Like even our kids that are here with us still, when they get older or of age, I pray that they don't go astray, but it's all up to the Most High because their lives are already predestined.
Well, that's what we read in Deuteronomy. Everybody has to go through the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it says in 2nd Ezra chapter 7, everybody has to go through that. Hold on, let's get that real quick and then we'll come back here. Let's move to 2nd Ezra because she brought out a great point. As I was saying that the mother and the father in the home, but like she was saying, for me personally, I didn't have that dad figure. And without having that, I got led astray and went out into the world, into the streets and so forth. But after all of that time and all of those years, it has led me back to the Most High. Well, it has led me to the Most High, not back because, well, it is back because I was with Him in the beginning. I just never knew. Right. So, yes, it is in that way. That's the way He has it set up. Like I say earlier, I don't know why things are set up this way. We know that our family dynamics with the mother and the father in the home, we're going to be split through the prophecy in Deuteronomy 28, 54 all the way down, or you could start from where is this? I think it's like 30 all the way down. Just read the whole book of Deuteronomy 28 if you want to learn about the blessings and the curses. So for me, yeah, I think that it did. That's the way it was supposed to work out. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to make it to the kingdom. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm saved. A lot of times the Most High will bring you to Him so you can't say anything about when the time comes for you to be judged because it's a righteous judgment, like you knew. And yeah, you were with me for 20 years or you were with me for 40 years. And yeah, but then after that, you went off. You left me, even though you knew, so it doesn't matter how long you're with Him. Like it says in Matthew 24, you have to what? Endure to the end, all the way into your last breath, your last day here on earth. You have to still be walking with the Most High, giving honor and glory to Him. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, the classic in the 1611 King James Bible. Which one I want to I want to go through the one about the path, because that's what she was talking about. Like, you have to go through this path in order to get your inheritance. 7 and we'll start at 3. Right? This is Ezra speaking to an angel of Malak. I started 1. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent to me an angel of Malak, which had been sent unto me the nights afore. Verse 2, he says, and he said unto me, up, Ezra, and hear the words that I am come to tell thee. Verse 3, and I said, speak on, my power. Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case of the entrance were narrow like a river. Verse 5, when thou could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it, if thou went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? So you have to go through that narrow. The narrow is the wilderness. The narrow is the thing that you're going to go through when it comes to the Most High. In order to get to that broad part, in order to get to that kingdom part that so many people want to be in, the heaven, you have to go through the narrow. That's why you can't get it unless you go through the narrow. Verse 6, it says, there's also another thing. A city builded and set upon a broad field, and it's full of good things. The entrance, therefore, is narrow. That's what the whole Bible is always talking about, this entrance that you have to, in order to get to that place, it's a very narrow place, right? And it's set in a dangerous place to fall. What dangerous place is this? Earth. That's where most people fall. That's where we fall at. So it's a narrow road to get to the Most High and his only begotten Son, Hamashiach Yahawashi, but it's set where? In this dangerous place to fall, which is earth. Like if there were fire on the right hand and on the left, deep water. And one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small, there could but one man go at once, meaning only one man at a time. Let's go down. Verse 9. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, right, which is the kingdom of heaven, if he never shall pass through the danger set before it, which is what danger? Here on earth, where you could fall, how shall he receive this inheritance? So we understand the inheritance is the kingdom of heaven. But this angel, Malak, is telling Ezra, how can you receive the kingdom of heaven if you never go through what? The dangerous part that's set here on earth for you to fall. So you have to go through the danger on earth in order to receive the inheritance. Verse 10 says, and I said, it is so, master. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel portion. So yes, the Israelites, this is what you have to go through. This is what he's saying. This is your portion. You have to go through the narrow road, wilderness, in order to get this inheritance. It goes on to verse 11 and says, because for their sakes, whose? Israel, I made the world. So for Israel's sake, the angel is letting him know this is why the world was even created. And when Adam sinned, my statutes or transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow, travail. There are but few and evil, full of perils, and very painful. For the interests of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought forth or brought immortality or immortal fruit, Salakia. So he's going through the stages before Adam fell and transgressed the world was wide. It was wide open. But when Adam fell, all of these evils, trials, travail, pain, suffering, sickness, all of this stuff entered into the world. And now we, as his descendants, have to go through these things within the world in order to get an inheritance that's promised to us. Verse 14 says, if then, let me bring this up. 14 says, if then they that live labor not to enter the straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. So you'll never receive what's laid up for you. So you have to go through those things. So like she was saying, is that the way it was ordained for me? Yes. But all the way back through what? Prophecy when it comes to Deuteronomy 28, the blessings and the curses. These were curses on my forefathers. It's so crazy that my dad grew up with his dad in the home. Now, I don't really know how it was there because, I didn't know my dad that well. But he had that in his home. He had brothers and sisters, and he had a mom, and he had a dad. Now, I'm pretty sure, because this was like right as they were making that transition coming from the South to the West, I'm pretty sure, because he sent me a picture of his grandfather too, that his dad would be my grandfather. So that would be his dad's dad was in the home with a mother and a father. So this actual thing didn't break as far as a mother and a dad being in a home until it got to him. Because he was raised with his dad and his dad was raised with his dad. So when it got to him, he broke that. Now, in his eyes, he said it was because of the type of individual he was, and it was best for him to leave and not be there. That he thought that I would be a worse off person, a worse condition. And maybe that may have been true. I don't know. But like she was saying, it had already been ordained to be like that I would go through those things that I went through in my life to now bring me back full circle to the Most High. And now I look on those things. I look at the friends that I lost. I look at the situations I was in. And I look at everything that I've seen. And it impacts me in a powerful way to where I don't want to give up. I don't want to throw in the towel. I think about all of the brothers and sisters that I lost that never even had these thoughts, these visions to even know the Most High. A lot of our young people, all around the world, especially in the United States, our brothers that are killing one another, young teenage boys, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and they don't know anything about the Most High. All they know is about, this rapper that they're following, or the new fad, or the new drip, or the new whatever. I was leaving out of somewhere, and I'll move on after this. I was leaving out of somewhere, and these young teenage kids were making a joke, a mockery of the Most High. And I actually said something, and I made a comment, and I said, are you talking about the Most High? And he said, who? I said, the Most High, the Creator. He said, oh, yeah, I never heard somebody say that before. I never heard the name Most High. They're making mockery about their own Creator, not even knowing that's one of his titles is as the Most High. So what they approached me for thought it was going to be a joke and it would be funny. Just kids, teenagers having fun at the movie theater or whatever. They end up learning something. Now whether they took it for good or took it and made jokes or mockery of it, I don't know. But when they was in my presence, I let them know that they were speaking about the Most High, and what they were doing was not right, because they were making mockery of their own Creator, the one who created them. So yeah, back to your thing. It very well may be. Very well may be,
I think it just is. It's not. In my opinion, I feel like everything that I've been through and whatever else I go through is because that's what the Most High wanted to happen for me, regardless of anything else. In it, like basically.
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that everything that you've been through is
yeah.
because of what he wanted.
But it's like it's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Correct.
So I don't too much dwell on the past stuff or the things that happened in the past and that nature. I'm more concerned now with knowing what I know and my future and how that may or may not look.
Well, that goes back to what you just said. Not how you start, but how you finish. But I agree with what you're saying about the course of everything, how it is. Yes, I agree with that. That's just how he had ordained it. That's how he has it lined up. Whatever you're going through in your life, ups, downs, trials, tribulations, hurt, pain, suffering, it's because that's the way he ordained it. I don't know why. As well as like we just saw the mother on here that her son was taken, murdered for $60. Like she said, that was already ordained. We all have to leave this earth. How we're going to leave and the circumstance we're going to leave, we don't know. We have no idea. And a lot of times you don't know the day. A lot of times people get up, take a shower, get dressed, get ready, and they're on their way somewhere. A friend of mine, I hate to share the story, but a friend of, my wife, she was she on her way home from work?
Ooh.
The young lady's name. The young lady, I don't want to say her name.
Oh,
she was on her way home from work?
No, I don't know. She was just not.
It was summertime. Didn't she work that day at the summer camp?
She worked, but not at summer camp. She worked at the other school.
But she did work that day.
I don't know if she worked that day.
Okay. Well, I don't know if she worked that day. I can't say with a guarantee, but we know it was summertime and they were doing summer camp, summer things, working, right? So possibility, I thought from when I heard it, they said that we seen her earlier that day and everything was fine. She was on her way home or wherever she was on her way to. She got into a motorcycle accident and she died, right? So those type of things happen through the course of the day. You don't know if it's going to be your last day, every day. So you get up, you get dressed, you put on your clothes, and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to do this today. I'm going to do that. You don't know if you're going to make it there. You don't know if you're going to run into a truck, if a truck going to run into you. You don't know if you're going to have a heart attack, a seizure, a brain aneurysm. You have no idea. You're going around making things in your mind that you say you're going to do. When you have no idea, you have no power over those things. The Most High has power over that. Let's get this. Let me show you this right here since we're already in Apocrypha. Let me go back and share the screen. Turn to the book of Sirach, chapter 10 real quick. Let me show this real quick. The book of Ecclesiastic Us, or better known as the book of Sirach, chapter 10. And jump down to verse, I'm going to go straight to it, right? And click on it. Ecclesiastic Us, chapter 10, verse 9. And it says, why, let me blow it up as big as I can because I want you to see this. Why is earth and ashes proud? It's asking you a question. Who is the earth and ashes? We are, right? As human beings, we are. And it's asking us, why are you proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. What is a covetous? What does that mean? To desire, to want what other people have, whether it be money, riches, power, fame, their woman, their home, their car, whatever it is, you want it because somebody else has it, or you just see it out there in the world and you desire it, right? For such a one setteth his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bow. He doesn't realize what he's doing as earth and ashes by being what? Proud. And this is what we have to ask ourselves. Why are we so prideful? Why are we so proud? Like I said earlier, let's go back to that same thing. If you read in here, let me see. Verse 7 says, pride is hateful before the Most High and man. And by both doeth one commit what? Iniquity. Right? It says something else about pride right here. Let me see. Verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his maker. So anybody that's proud, arrogant, prideful, right? All of these things, what is another one? Self-confidence, which the world tells you, oh, you should have self-confidence, or you should have pride in your school, or you should have pride in yourself, or you should have pride. Listen, the beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High. Then it says in verse 13, for pride is the beginning of sin. When one can't forgive or have no forgiveness in their heart, that's where pride kicks in at. It says, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that have it shall pour out what? Abominations. And therefore, Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. Why? Because they were prideful. And then it says here in 18, pride was not made for man, nor fear his anger for them that are what? Born of a woman. So in the same book, let me go jump to chapter 28 real quick, and then we'll get some of these things in the New Testament and go ahead and wrap up. Same book, Ecclesiasticus, right? Better known as the book of Sirach or Sirach, however you guys pronounce it. In the 1611 King James Bible, as you can see on the screen. We're in chapter 28, and we'll start at verse 1. It says, he that revengeth shall find vengeance from Yahweh, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance. So when your brothers go out there and they say, oh, you know, something happened to a family member, their child, or something like that, and you go out and you do things in revenge on your own, what you have done is you have taken that vengeance off of that individual because you went and revenged it and put the vengeance back on you from who? The Most High. And then not only that, it says, and also your sins he's going to keep in what? Remembrance, meaning all the sins you have done, plus this vengeance that you have went out and took on whoever because you wanted to revenge somebody, whether it was you, something wrong happened to, or somebody you knew, or another individual, you felt like you need to step in as Captain Saver, because that's what you're doing. You playing Captain Saver like you have the power to go get revenge for somebody else. Like we just read, who the hell are you? Earth and ashes. Who are you to step into somebody else's place to go get revenge? Like, who are you? That's the Most High place. It says, he that revenges shall find vengeance from Yahweh, and he will what? Surely keep his sins in remembrance. Verse 2, it says, forgive thy neighbor, which is your brother, the hurt that he have done unto thee. So shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. So it tells us that we have to what? Forgive thy brother the hurt that he have done unto thee. And we know it's hurt there. Like the woman that we just showed. If you didn't see it, you can go back, rewind it. The woman, somebody took her son's life. She will never, ever see her son again. Young boy. He had, let me see. I don't think that he was no more than about what, 15, 16? Let's see. He looked older than that. Let's see it real quick.
The person that murdered your son? Sam's mother did. She hugged him in court. Sam was tragically killed in an underpass while walking home with dinner for himself and his wife.
Oh, he was in the Navy, so he was older than 15, 16. So what you say? I say maybe about 20, 22. You know, he still got a baby face. I'm not sure, you know.
The one that died or the one that killed him?
Well, this is her son that she lost.
Yeah, but who are you talking about? The one that died?
I'm talking about the one that died.
Yeah, he looked like early 20s.
Early 20, yeah.
All over $60 in a bag of food. During a court hearing over 2 years later.
Now, he looked young. It's the one that murdered him. He looked like he about 16 or 17. But I could be wrong. Anywhere from, I'll say, 17 to 22, 23, right? We know that they're not old. He doesn't even have facial hair growing. No beard, no nothing, right? So anywhere into there.
Sam's mother did something unprecedented in the eyes of courtroom veterans. After seeking permission from Hamilton County Judge Megan Shanahan, she approached Javon, who had just confessed to his involvement in her son's tragic death, and hugged him. She then embraced Javon's mother. Her actions conveyed a powerful message that she could see beyond the act that claimed her son's life. She pledged to do everything in her power to help Javon become a...
That's a powerful thing. Two mothers. That's a powerful, powerful thing. Two mothers coming together. The mother that lost her son, Salakia, and then the other mother whose son pulled the trigger. You okay? Yeah. Two horrible events that these women are going through. One lost her son and one killed someone's son. And yet they were able to come together and hug one another to let you know that it is possible, that you don't have to keep this hatred inside of us, right? Let me press play.
Better person. In her poignant words to him, she stated, "His death was already ordained. Maybe the purpose is to save your life." She emphasized the importance of fighting for these young men despite the terrible tragedy they caused. She recognized that they would eventually re-enter society, and if they were not provided with guidance and support, the cycle of violence could continue, taking more lives in its wake. Her heartfelt plea underscored the shared responsibility to prevent such devastating incidents from happening again. Could you forgive the person that murdered?
And that's what we've been speaking on today. So when we go back here, right, to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 28, and it says, he that revenges shall find vengeance from Yahweh, and he will surely keep his sins in remembrance, and then forgive thy what? Brother, neighbor, the hurt that they have done unto thee, so shall thy sins also be forgiven when thou prayest. So that mom that forgave, she did what? She hearkened to the words of the Most High. She knew she had to. It hurt her. That's why she was crying. She'll never see her son again, like he died. But she had to go to that man, that young boy that took her son's life, and forgive him. Otherwise, she would have walked around with hurt, pain, hatred built up in her heart. And who would have overtaken her? Satan. She would have became the product of Satan because she held that hatred in her heart and wouldn't forgive. But she took the word of the Most High and said, like she just said earlier, hey, it was already ordained. It's nothing that I could have did different, because this was supposed to happen to my child, to my son. I don't understand it because I'm a human. But to know that there's a creator that we serve, that life and death is in his hands, and nobody can be taken off of the earth unless it's ordained through the Most High. And he has to give the thumbs up or the thumbs down. So the reason that young man's life was taken that day is because it was the day for him to go back home to his father. And the mother understood that. The action of it, we just didn't understand, right? Hold that real quick. Since we are right here, let me show you this in the Wisdom of Solomon real quick. Chapter 3. Let me go. Oh, I was already right there. I could have just jumped on there. We're going to come right back to 28. I know I'm jumping a lot, but hey, I got to show you this. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, real quick. Right. This is the 1611 King James Bible, Wisdom of Solomon, right? Chapter 3, verse 1. But the souls of the righteous are in the hands of the Most High, and there shall no torment touch them. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for what? Misery, right? The young boy, his life was taken, $60. To the unwise, it seems what? That they just died. They were murdered. And the departure of the way he was taken is taken for what? Misery. That could have sent his whole family, his mother, and all them people into a downward spiral because of what happened to their child. Oh, man, that happened. Oh, man, my child. Could have sent you into a straight misery. Verse 3, it says, and they're going from us to be utter destruction. But it says in the second part, but they are in peace. And this is something I believe that mother understood. It says, verse 4, for though they be punished in the sight of man, yet is their hope full of immortality. So to us, it seemed like something bad happened. To us, it seemed like what a tragedy, what a this, what a that. But like we were saying earlier, like the mother said, and like she said earlier, these things were already ordained to happen. And since the mother had that knowledge, she was able to take that through the Most High, through the Spirit, and say, you know what? These things are already been ordained. It's nothing that I could do. This is what the Most High had planned for my son. It was time for him to be taken and go and live in peace and get what? She had that hope for him of what? Immortality. Verse 5, it says, and having been a little chastened, they shall be greatly rewarded. For the Most High proved them and found them what? Worthy for himself. Remember when we started in Deuteronomy 8 that you have to be proven, you have to go through this wilderness. So the way I like to look at it is the way the scriptures bring it out is that young man, life that was taken, maybe he was a good young man. Maybe the things that he had already done was good enough for the Most High in that small period of time. And he was found worthy to what? Go back home then. See, a lot of times we think that, oh, because you lived to 99 or 89, that you lived a good life. No, Hamashiach lived 33 years. Ezra was at a different time. I was going to say, even then when people were living to 1,000 years, Ezra only lived to like 300 some years. That was like still a baby. But why did these people leave the earth early? It says because they were accounted worthy. They didn't need to be here no more. The Most High knew what they were. The Most High said, man, I'd rather have you over here with me doing things than here on the earth. You already been accounted worthy. Elijah, Ezra, who else? Elijah, Ezra, Enoch. You got something? Go ahead.
I was going to say just a comment that possibly everything is like, that's why I say like in the twinkling of an eye, like you can just, I don't want to say it like drop dead, but literally you could. Like,
yeah, you can.
Any given moment.
Any given moment.
Because nobody's time is calculated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about.
Well, it is calculated. We just don't know the calculation.
What I mean by that is that you can't sit here and say, oh, I've only got like 20 more years.
No.
30 more years.
No.
You can't sit here and say,
no.
Even when a doctor diagnoses you,
you can't calculate it. No.
You can't go off of that because they don't know either.
They don't know.
So it's like when it's your time to go, it's just your time to go. And at that point in time, whether you serve the Most High or not, that's on you. But that's how like, for example, like if I don't know, you don't want to waste time thinking that you have time because you can be taken out at any given moment.
Right.
And like you were saying, what we may think was a bad thing or whatever, like I don't even look at the stuff like that no more, because it's like it was meant to touch somebody, whoever that
Get affected.
it affected. It's either going to affect them in a way is for the good or it's for the bad. But regardless, that's their journey now.
Right.
And that's what they're going to have to go through. And whether that brings them to the Most High or not, you know, that's how the Most High made it to be.
As verse 6 says, as gold in the furnace have he tried them and received them as burnt offerings. So those trials, those things, like she said, that may affect you, that may come upon you, or just affect you from someone else going through something that affects you. These are situations that you are put in to see how you are going to handle them, right? How are you going to go about this? Are you going to take roles into your own hand? Are you going to try to get vengeance? Are you going to try to get repay? You know, verse 7, it says, and in the time of their visitation, they shall shine and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. Right? What visitation? When the angel of death came and got him. Right? And it's telling you about these people that he came and got that we thought were bad situations. He's telling you what happened. They shall judge what? The nations and have dominion over people, and their master shall reign over them. They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he have care for his elect. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imagination, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Most High Yahawah. Right? For who despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable. And their hope is vain, their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable. Their wives are foolish, and their children are wicked. Their offspring is cursed. Wherefore blessed is the barren that is undefiled, which have not known the sinful bed. She shall have fruit in her visitation of souls. Right? And now it's about to go into something else, but it's telling you it's better not to even have no children if they all gonna just turn out wicked. Like she just was making a statement earlier, you know, we have multiple children and we've taught them through the scriptures, through the ways, showed them, they know where the scriptures is. We bought them multiple Bibles every Shabbat throughout the week. You know, I've read to them, showed them, studied with them. One still went astray. Right? And we have two more left, and who's to say what they will do? But this is their journey, and this is the thing that they have to go through. They have to go through the wilderness. There's no way to hold them back from going to the wilderness. The Most High is going to set it up for them to go through the wilderness to see what's in their heart, to prove them. He's going to put them in situations to prove them, to see whether they will hearken to what he said, or are they going to go and do what they want to do and listen to Satan? And this is for every person that's born. We just read Ezra. Every man that is born on earth or woman, they have to go through this. You cannot get the inheritance and not go through anything. Even in this time and age, when people have money, billions of dollars, and they give an inheritance, they leave something. Oh, well, the child has to what? Graduate from college and has to do this and has to do that. If they don't do this, then they don't get this money. So even today in real life, when people leave inheritance, they leave what? Stipulations that you have to do in order to receive this inheritance. And it's the same thing with the Most High. In order to receive this inheritance, the kingdom of heaven, you have to walk through the narrow road. And one of the things he says, let's go back where we was in 28, is that you have to have what? Forgiveness. This is one thing that he commands. In verse 2, we back in Ecclesiasticus. We left Wisdom of Solomon. Back in the book of Ecclesiasticus, 28, verse 2. Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee, so shall thy sins also be forgiven. That's the greatest thing. When you forgive somebody, the Most High said, thank you for doing that, for forgiving them. And since you did that, I will forgive all of the sins that you have committed against me. Verse 3, it says, one man beareth hatred against another, and doeth he seek a pardon from Yahweh? So you got hatred in your heart. Man, I hate that. We'll just say Isaac. Man, I hate Isaac and his wife. I hate seeing him and his wife and his children. And man, I just wish I could go over there and just, man, oh, you got hatred in your heart. But then you after that evening, on the Shabbat, you get on your knees and you pray to the Most High Yahweh, all praises be to you, Yahweh, may you watch over me and my family, my wife and my kids. And the Most High is sitting up there like, what the hell are you doing? You just spent a whole hour thinking about Isaac across the street or around and wherever he is, about all the hatred you got in your heart. And then when it comes bedtime, you get on your knees and pray to me and ask for a pardon. He like, that doesn't even make sense. Verse 4, it says, he showeth no mercy to a man which is like himself. So the brother that hates Isaac, he is showing no mercy to Isaac, but he's like him. He doesn't realize when he looks in the mirror, he's just like the one that he hates. He's just like Isaac. And doeth he ask forgiveness of his own sins? This is a question. If you could see the question mark right there, he said, and you're going to ask forgiveness of your own sins, but you won't forgive Isaac for what he did. I don't know. Maybe it was an event and he tried to talk to his wife, or he looked at his wife a certain way, or I'm just giving examples. Or he played some music. I don't know what the brother did. You know, sometimes people don't even have to do nothing. They just don't like you. But if the brother came and asked for and apologized and said he was sorry, then you have to forgive that brother and move on. Verse 5 says, he that is but flesh nurtureth hatred. Who will entreat for pardon of his sins? Who's going to step in front of the Most High to pardon you? You guys know what pardon mean, right? Pardon you from your sins. It says in verse 6, let me rise this up a little bit. Verse 6, it says, remember the end. Salakia, remember thy end. Which is thy end? What is it saying?
Thy end meaning your own end.
Your own end of what? Death. Death. That's the end. So it's just basically saying, remember, you're going to die too. That's what it's saying. And let enmity cease. Enmity is what?
Like, no more quarrels with your enemies. Like
quarrel, hatred. Basically, enmity is hatred. Enmity, yes, hatred. That's why I said, let it cease. Don't have hatred in your heart. Let it cease. Remember corruption and death and abide in these commands. That's what it's basically telling you. Remember that we're all going to decay. We're all going to be put in the ground. Some put in fire, right? Because they want to be cremated. But the Bible says what? Worms and creepy things and worms will get to you. So this is what you want to remember. Verse 7 says, remember the commandments and bear no malice, which is evil intent to thy what? Brother. Remember the covenant of the highest and weak at ignorance. And a lot of times in certain situations, we, women and men, you know that you have more wisdom, you have more knowledge, you have more understanding than those individuals that you may come into contact with. So yes, it may seem to the unwise, like Solomon was saying, that, oh, you're bowing down, oh, you're laying down, oh, you're walking away, oh, he's a punk, he's this, he's that, he doesn't want to fight, or she doesn't want to. It may look like that to the unwise. Remember that. But the Bible lets us know to do what? Wink at their ignorance. This is why Mashiach Yahawashi said, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. Like children, they don't know what they're doing. They do it, but they don't know. They don't understand the circumstances, the consequences. They don't understand those things that they go out and do, like a child goes into a store and he picks up a lollipop. All he knows is he picked up a lollipop because he wanted it. The mother didn't see it. As they walking out the store, the thing going. Now he understands there's going to be some consequence because something is going off, and now everybody looking around and they find a little pop thing in his hand. He didn't realize that he was stealing or taking something, and the consequence behind it. These are things that children and adults do. So those circumstances that we come into, you have to wink at the ignorance. If they don't want to forgive, if they don't want the apology, if they don't, it's okay. It's okay. Why? Because he tells us to wink at the ignorance. They just don't understand. They don't understand. They're unwise right now. But you pray for them, and hopefully one day that they will understand that very hatred that they hold in themselves is the same thing that's going to get them cast down. I watched I wish I can pull it up about that young man. Remember that old one, the black guy, when he was saying he kept hearing the portal go choof, choof. Oh. And he was saying when he got in front of I know it was two things in his chest.
There was more marks in his chest because
he didn't really forgive.
Because if you truly forgave, then you wouldn't bring it up every time you see that person, or you wouldn't make mention of whatever it was that happened in the past.
Right.
True forgiveness is hard.
Shalakia. I was trying to see if I could find it. It's an old video. Not that old, but it's an old video. Dang. Of course, because I'm looking for it, it's not going to pop up. But Black Guy had a dream about judgment or something like that. Let me see. Man. Now that's him. Okay, I think I got it. Let me see. Oh, here it is right here. Got it. Okay, I'm going to share this, right? I'm going to share this. Let me see. I'm going to share this. This is fair use, right? You see it on the screen. So I found it. It may not be exactly where I wanted to because it's a long video, but I did find it, and I want you to see this. Now, this was a brother who had a dream about the judgment that we're going to go through, right? And he had went through something that we're talking about, forgiving somebody who had did something wrong to him and things like this, and he thought that he had forgave them. But as he's about to realize, he didn't do true forgiveness. He just said it and like, whatever, I forgive you, and went on about his way. But in his heart, he hadn't truly forgave that person. And the Most High knows your heart. So let me play this. Let me share it. Like I said, I didn't have time to really go through it because this is just on the fly, but I do want to share this. Okay, here we go. And then you can see on the back it say a message to the nations, right? Man sees terrifying judgment day.
And he called me up and he started talking to me. And keep in mind that our life was struggling or went through the same situation and they never repented. So 1,000, 1,000, sent here. They would go, they were flying. They was flying so fast. I've never seen something so fast. And it got to the point where I was next in line. And he called me up and he started talking to me. And keep in mind that our life held us hand to hand. So anything we did in our life life testified against us. So you couldn't lie because your life testified. Say, yes, you did this at this time. Yes, you did. And whenever God would speak to me, you would.
And that's so many times. I just want to say that is so many times within the Bible and the scriptures that it tells us that our own life is going to testify against you. So you need to remember that your own life is going to testify you. The Spirit is going to say, yes, you did. You did do that. You did do this. You did. So you're not going to be able to get out of it because he says your own life is going to testify against you. And we know that's what the Bible says.
And that our life held us hand to hand. So anything we did in our life life testified against us. So you couldn't lie because your life testified. Say, yes, you did this at this time. Yes, you did. And whenever God would speak to me, you would see a big screen, like you would see as if whatever God says, it comes to life. And so he started talking to me and he started telling me everything that I could have did better. And at this point, I'm like, okay, God, I could do this better. I did it. I did okay with it, but I could have did better. So he began to say other things and he brought up this specific woman. And he asked me, why didn't I forgive her? And he gave me her specific name. I'm not going to say it. He gave me her specific name. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. He asked me, why didn't I forgive her? I said, I did, God. I did forgive her. He said, well, if you forgave her, when you get on the phone and talk to her, why is it that you treat her like the situation happened all over again? And I'm like, God, but I did forgive her. He said, well, if you forgave her, why are those seeds still in your chest? And I looked down. I was like, oh my God, that's what those are for. Those are seeds. Oh.
Those are seeds in your chest of what? Seeds of what? Unforgiveness. Things that you held on to. Hatred that you have inside of you. Can you enter into the kingdom with these things? If you have hatred in your heart against your brother, your sister? That's why the Most High is talking to him, because you still have these things in your heart. See, he said he really forgave her, but he didn't really in the inside. So don't say something, oh, I forgive you, and then you still really holding it in the inside. That's not forgiveness. You just saying something to appease the people or to make people feel good. It's not about people. It's about you and the Most High. See, he thought he can get away with this, but when it came to the Most High, you don't get away from anything.
What I did in my life, the things I didn't forgive. So he was talking to me and I was like, oh my God. And he told me, he looked at me and said, because you didn't forgive her, I didn't forgive you some of your sins. And I was like, oh my God. And he started telling me so many other things, and he ain't told me not one good thing yet. And at this point, I'm getting terrified because he was talking to me and I was like,
real quick, I want to ask that question. He says, because you didn't forgive her, I didn't forgive you of some of your sins. Now, how would that make you feel in the judgment seat, in front of Hamashiach, in front of the Most High, knowing that if you have forgave that person, you will enter into the kingdom of heaven. But since you didn't forgive them, now you're in front of the judgment, and now you could be cast into the lake of fire for eternity. How does that make you feel? Was it worth it? Is what I should say. To me, heck no. I don't care what nobody did. I just forgive you. I'm not willing to be in eternal fire for eternity because of not forgiving you here on the earth. Believe me, that little incident, whatever you did, it ain't that major to be in eternal fire forever. But that's just my opinion. You have some people that have so much hatred in their heart, they will say it was worth it. It was worth it. Any other opinion?
No comment.
No comment? No comment? Dominic? No comment?
repeat the question really quickly?
This man say, right, here on earth, because he didn't forgive that person, right? Is it worth when you come in front of the judgment seat of the Most High, and he say, because you didn't forgive them on earth, I'm not going to forgive you here, and now you're going to be cast into the lake of fire because you didn't forgive them. Because remember what you read earlier to me in the book of Matthew, you read it before we went live, that, you know, you should forgive. But go ahead.
I don't think it's worth it, but I think it's fair.
Well, that's a contradiction.
You think what's fair? Can you elaborate on
Yeah.
what you're talking about?
I don't think it's worth it, meaning I don't think it's worth not forgiving someone just to be judged and be told that because you didn't forgive them, he's not gonna forgive you for some of your sins. I don't think it's worth not forgiving someone just to have to go through that. But I think it's fair for the Most High to not forgive you for not forgiving someone else.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I'm saying. You will be with that. What you just saying is basically you will be okay then with the punishment of him casting you into the fire.
I agree with that.
You agree with that?
Yeah, because I mean, I can't sit here and lie and be like, oh, I just automatically forgive everybody. I cannot. Don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to forgive someone. But if something just happened and I'm feeling raw in that moment, I don't know if I'm going to forgive in that moment. I don't know if I have the next day to live to even forgive that moment. You get what I'm saying? Like if something, let's say something tragically had happened, okay, and I felt a certain type of way and I was really hurt and I couldn't forgive that person. I know that I have to forgive and it's going to take some time for me to forgive, but I don't know how much time I actually have. I can only hope and pray that within the time that I have forgiven that person within that time frame. I can't sit here and say I'm going to automatically forgive this person after I just encountered what happened.
Well, that's an honest reply, because in time, as they said, all wounds heal. You know, you would only hope. That's why I said that's an honest answer, that within the time that you have here, because you don't know, that you will be able to forgive that person.
Right.
You know, you would hope. Because like she said, mind you, if you die like that, then, you know, he's in righteous judgment to cast you into the lake of fire. Right. And to me, that's just to me personally, I don't think that it's worth it to live somewhere in torment, punishment in the lake of fire, because in a human aspect, in a fleshly aspect, you just wouldn't forgive because that's holding on to something. Now, I'm not saying that it's not hard. It's things that you have to go through. Believe me, I've been through that. And this is why it says wink at ignorance. And sometimes that little horn, he still comes up. And he still wants to, man, look, you know, look at you. You got to turn the other cheek. You going out like a sucker. You going out like this. Or he rises up. Yeah, you going to let that go, what they did to you. You know, you still feel a certain way about it. You know, these are the things that pop up into your head from this evil notion that you have to let go, you know, and we all go through it. Like she said, especially if it's fresh and as time go on, it can nurture into other things. But you sometimes in different circumstances, different situations, you know, everybody needs time, but I just say this, hopefully within time, you have the time to be able to forgive and move forward. Because when you think about the things of the kingdom and the things with the Most High and in a whole new life of eternity, being with the Most High and His Son, and like those things that happened prior on earth, like they're not even worth it. And this is what the scriptures and epistles tells us. Like Paul goes into detail, all of the trials and tribulations and the beatings and the cast in jail and the starving and being cold and everything that happened to me here on this planet Earth is not even worth that. You can't even imagine the things in the kingdom are going to be like. So these are fleshly things that we're holding on to. And he's telling us to let those things go because they're fleshly things, and you're not a fleshly being, you're a spiritual being. But this is where it comes in that mixture of fleshly and spiritual, because he says we're not even supposed to go to bed angry at one another, because he's going to hold that accountable to us if we go to bed angry and one dies, because you had anger in your heart before you went to bed. Now, many couples, right, especially in marriage, they go to sleep all the time angry at one another. And that's a sin. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to go to bed or sleep angry at one another. It says you, before you go to sleep, you come to a resolution. If you need to apologize, you apologize, and you don't have that anger in your heart before you lay down and go to sleep. Because if he take you like that, then he's going to ask you, why do you have that anger in your heart? Why didn't you come to a resolution before y'all laid down and went to sleep? You thought you had to tomorrow or the next day, not knowing that I was coming to take you tonight. So like she said, hopefully you have enough time to be able to reconcile this and forgive and move forward, because that's what it's really about. Because when you forgive, you actually move forward into a new space, into a new light, But I just want to finish this off. Let's go ahead.
Oh my God. And he told me, he looked at me and said, because you didn't forgive her, I didn't forgive you some of your sins. And I was like, oh my God. And he started telling me so many other things, and he ain't told me not one good thing yet. And at this point, I'm getting terrified because my mind is starting now going to a place where I'm imagining how hot this fire is going to be when this portal open. And so, I'm scared. I didn't know how to explain how terrified I was. Words can't describe. When you meet God, words can't describe how terrifying it is to look your Creator face to face. Where there's nothing hid from Him. There's nothing. Your inner thoughts are revealed before Him. Your perception, how you feel, everything that you hosted in this body is presented before Him. And so, I got to a point where I didn't want to hear God no more. I was really turning my head because I was afraid that, it's already made his mind up. I was so afraid. And so I turned my head, and he would just come to tell me everything that I didn't do right, or I should have did better. And at this point, I knew I was going to hell. I knew it. I was fully persuaded that this was it. So I turned my head, and I was like, I don't want to hear no more of it. My mind, I'm just really trying to imagine how hot hell is going to be. I'm like, oh my God, Lord, I have no more chance. If I go down there, I can't come back. Like, Lord, please don't send me to hell. Please, like, God, please. I'm begging you. And I'm more terrified. I was more terrified than I can express. And so I turned my head, and at this point, I no longer wanted to hear what he had to say, because I knew at this point, I was going to hell. And I would have my head turned, and out of nowhere, there was this one feeling that would come over the interface of my soul. And I would turn my head, and it would go in slow motion, and the tears would fly from my face. And I looked at God, and I was looking at his judgment. What was going to be my judgment? And he looked at me, he said, face to face, you don't get a well done. You get it, you barely made it. And he stepped back and said, come. And at this point, I was so confused. I'm like, oh my God. And on the left side of God, heaven would open up, so soft, with brilliant lights. The colors were indescribable, like colors I've never seen before in my life. It was so pretty, so amazing. And the colors will blossom as they grow, and and the heaven will open up so gentle. And I will walk toward that direction, and my hand would go in the portal. And when my hand went through, it got bigger. My arm went through, it got bigger. It was like I was growing into a mature state of a glorified body. And so my leg went through it, like got bigger, and you can see how big I got on the other side, and how my soul was being transformed into a glorified body. And my body would go through it, and only piece that was left behind was my leg. And right before my last foot got in, I woke up. The dream scared me so bad. I was underneath our living room table for hours. I was so terrified. I was terrified to move. I was terrified to do anything because I was afraid it was going to be added to my judgment. I thought that was the judgment. That didn't feel like a dream. I could feel, I could taste, I could tell you how it made me feel. Everything was so alive in the dream. And at that moment, I was asking God, why did you give me this dream? He said, because I want you to warn my people that the things which you saw are the things that shall be. And I didn't realize that what I prayed for and the vow I made before God, that he was going to fulfill it. Now he's looking for my end to be fulfilled. So that's why I'm here talking to you right now. Forgive. Let go. I couldn't describe how many people that allow for unforgiveness to grow in them, and it caused a bitterness, which caused them to do things that they got judged for. That thing caused them not to make it to heaven. I was terrified. It was so many people went to hell.
So many people, because they didn't forgive, it caused them to what? As the young man just said, go to hell. So this is why we do this lesson. Like I say, I'm not saying that it's easy. We all have been through things, unfortunately, we went through a lot of other things and didn't run, according to what I had lined up. But all praises through the Most High, through the Spirit. This is what he wanted to come out, and this is what came out. We're going to go to Matthew chapter 18 real quick. Matthew chapter 18. Like I said, I didn't want this to be too long, but hey, it be like that, right? As we move forward, I just want to show this real quick. I'll be back.
I hear you. Did you share your screen just for the?
I don't think I did. Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had just shared the screen. I didn't share me. Thank you. Let me see. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. It says, the temptation in your life are no different from what other experiences, right? Like I was saying, other brothers, hcyam, sisters, Ahchwathyam, from the beginning of time, even to now, have been going through this. And the Most High is faithful. He will not allow the temptation to be more than you can stand. So meaning the temptation that you're going through is not more that you can stand. You can handle it. The Most High put it there because he knows that you can handle it. It's hard, but he knows that you can handle it. It says, when you are tempted, he will show you a way out so that you can what? Endure. And that's what she was speaking on. That even though we're put in those situations of temptation, there is a way out. What's the way out? Walking with the Most High. And so, you know what? I'm just going to walk with the Most High. This is way more important, or I love him way more than this actual temptation, whatever it is, you know, whatever it may be. And it's different for everybody. So I don't want to speculate, but there is a way out. 1 Corinthians 10 and 13. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I think when I see the things that I have been through and with the Most High, I just wanted to say that I'm very grateful and thankful that he sees me as a strong person, because there's been some crazy stuff. And that's just something that, you know, us as a people, we should look at things like that. When you're faced with something, know that the Most High only gave that to you because he knows that you can conquer over that. And it lets you see how he sees you in the light of how strong of a child you are to him. Because he's not going to give you something that you cannot handle.
Right. That's true.
So whatever it is, and for whoever it is that you're going through that because the Most High knows that you're going to get past that and shine.
That's a beautiful comment, you know, for those who heard it and those who didn't hear it all the way. It was a beautiful, beautiful comment and a beautiful way to look at the circumstances and the things that your struggles, your infirmities, your weaknesses. This is why Hamashiach came in Book of Hebrews to be accounted like one of us, his brethren, with flesh and blood, so he can understand the temptation. He can truly understand the depth of it, or where it comes from. And like she was saying, when we read 1 Corinthians 10 and 13, he wouldn't put these things in your life if you couldn't handle them, if you couldn't overcome them, you know. And like she was saying, she thanks the Most High, the water, all praises, that she's such a strong individual, you know, because of the things that she has been through, correct?
Yeah, he lets me know that I'm strong.
He lets her know that he's strong. It lets her know that she's strong. And that's a beautiful thing. When you can look at it like that and not look at it like, man, I've been through so much, my life been so messed up, or this or that, or situations, you know, but know that I was put in those situations because he knew that I'm strong. He knew that I can overcome those things. He knew that I can conquer those things and move forward, and I can help other people and show them and tell them how to overcome those things and conquer those things. You know, this is why it's so important for us to do these type of individuals, do these type of lessons and let it be known, you know, from all different spectrums or opinions too. Matthew 18 and 21. I'm still in the I do it in the NLT because I want you to just be able to see it since I'm already here. Matthew 18:21, it says, then Peter came to him and asked, Master, how often should I forgive someone who sins against me? 7 times? Now, Peter asked the question. He wanted to know how many times should I forgive someone, but then he clarifies it. I want to know how many times should I forgive this person who sins against me, right? And then Peter goes on to say, this is what he says. Peter like, okay, 7 times, right? That sounds pretty good. If they sin against me 7 times, I can forgive 7. Then Yahawashi, right? Hamashiach, Christ, he said, no, Peter. No, not 7 times. Yahawashi replied, now who is speaking here? The one that you say you believe in, Jesus, right? Yahawashi in the Hebrew, Hamashiach, the anointed one. He says, but 70 times 7. So Peter was just thinking 7 times. But Hamashiach is on a whole nother level. He said 70 times 7. Nowhere where what Peter was thinking about. And I believe 70 times 7 is what?
490.
490.
And that's per person.
And that's per person. She said. I didn't even think of it like that. That's per person. So you talking about 2 people? That's a grand. 1,000 for those who don't know what a grand is, right? 1,000 times 2 people you would have to forgive. 1 person 500 times.
That just goes to show how much wrong a person
really does.
Yeah. And it says in the scripture that ain't nobody good. So, and not to put your expectations in men,
right?
You know, for those reasons alone.
Yeah. So he goes on to say, but 70 times 7, which we did the math, is about 490 times, right?
When you think of it like that, it almost makes it seem as if it's our own fault for falling into all that stuff. It is.
It pretty much is.
Because it tells you.
So you have to forgive somebody 70 times 7. This is what the anointed son said to Peter. Verse 23. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven can be compared to a king who who decided to bring his accounts up to date with his servants who had borrowed money from him. And that's just like today. Many people have cars, appliances in their home, things that in the home that they bought, jewelry on that they bought, right? And everything is on credit, right? So imagine the credit card people today. They came to an agreement and said, well, tomorrow, everybody that has a line of credit that has ever bought anything on credit, and if you still have an account open with credit, you have to pay that payment by the 11th of December. Or you're going to go into, if you can't pay everything off, you're going to go into debt. We're going to sue you, blase, and we're going to come take our stuff and everything like that. Well, we know the majority, 90% of the world will lose everything they had. Because nobody is going around spending $50,000, $60,000 for cars. And that's just a regular person, right? Now, probably the rich could. But the average individual who works 40 hours a week, you know, is not going and spending $60,000, $70,000 on a car. They have car notes. So that means you would have to get your car back. Most people have brand new appliances in their home that they bought on a credit card. You would have to give that back, right? All of the things that you have acquired through credit, you would have to give up. Because it says right here that you borrow what? Money. And that's what credit is. You borrow money from the credit line. It says right here in verse 24, in the process, one of his debtors was brought who owed him millions of dollars. Here it is, millions of dollars this guy owes.
Oh, I didn't let it get that bad. Like,
he let it get that bad. He owed millions of dollars. And you might say, how? Well, when you get that line of credit and they keep saying, you know, they'll give you a credit card and they'll tell you, hey, you got $200,000 line of credit. You ain't never had $200,000 in your life.
And
you still don't. But just with them telling you, now you feel like when you go to the mall, you ain't really got no money in your pocket. Your friend call you, say, girl, let's go out to eat. You like, I ain't got no money. Oh, but I got that credit card. Then when you go, you order and you pop it. You know, you might walk through the mall, do a little shopping. Next thing you know, you got a $500 credit card bill. You ain't got the $500 to pay it. They say it's okay. Just pay us $25 a month.
No, but you got $200,000.
Right.
You don't have the 500.
Now you don't find 500, so now you're paying $25 a month, and you still spending on what? The credit card.
Yeah.
So it went from 500 to 5,000, from 5,000 to 10,000, because you just keep spending, and they just keep telling you, "Oh, don't worry about that. Just pay us $100 a month." Let's see what happened. He couldn't pay, so his master ordered that he should be what? Sold, along with his wife, his children, and everything he owned to pay the debt. But the man fell down before his master and begged him, "Please be patient with me, and I will pay it." So now he's crying. He's begging another man to be patient with me. I'll pay it. Then his master was filled with pity for him and released him and forgave his debt. Why? Because he had pity for that man. So he forgave his debt. The millions of dollars that this man owed, he forgave it. Wiped it. Okay, whatever. But when the man left the king, he went to a fellow servant who owed him a few $1,000s. He grabbed him by the throat and demanded instant payment. You know how them strong arms, they come up, run up on you, grab you by the throat, put you on the wall and say, "I need my money now. Run me my money." His fellow servant fell down before him and begged for a little more time. "Be patient with me. I will pay it." He pleaded, but his creditor wanted Salakia, but his creditor wouldn't wait. Oh, he wouldn't wait. He had the man arrested and put into prison until the debt could be paid in full. When some of the other servants saw this, they were very upset. They went to the king and told him everything that had happened. The king, Salakia, then the king called in the man he had forgiven and said, "The millions of dollars this man owed, he forgave him. He said, 'You an evil servant. I forgave you that tremendous debt because you pleaded with me,'" meaning you begged, you asked, "and I forgave you for what you did. Shouldn't you have mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had mercy on you?" Which is telling us what? What is this metaphor? What is this parable telling us? That we should have mercy on one another, because the Most High is the King. Hamashiach Yahushua is the King, and he has forgiven us for the sins and things that we have committed against him. So just as he forgave us for the treacherous things that we've done. Treacherous. I mean, when he put it on the calendar, he put it up on the thing. I guarantee you some things on there that you don't want nobody in the world to see that you have done. Everybody. And he forgave you of those skeletons and the things that people know, but the things that people don't know, he forgave you because he know. And yet you out here walking around like you high-minded and won't forgive. "I ain't gonna forgive. I don't care. I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do." Well, do that. Do that. That's why she said earlier, it is righteous that you get cast into the lake of fire, because you so high-minded, you don't want to forgive after he don't forgave you for all of the evil, wrong, slut, trut, all kind of stuff we don't did. Huh?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You saying some crazy stuff.
I mean, because it's real.
But your mouth catches you because you get caught up.
Yeah, but it's just I'm just thinking about all of the things that we have done as human beings. There's no really words that can justify or say like what the things that we have done to the Most High. We turn our back on the Most High. We leave the Most High. We go out prostituting, whoring, doing other things. Look at Israel. They said we want a king like the other people. Like the Most High told Samuel, they didn't reject you, they rejected me. It's like, look at everything we did, and then he still turns around and forgives us. And then you won't turn around like this man that owe him a few $1,000s. You won't show mercy unto that person. Right? Verse 34. Then the angry king sent the man to prison to be tortured until he had paid his entire debt. Verse 35. That's what my heavenly Father will do to you if you refuse to forgive your brothers, your sisters from the heart. And that's important to do it from the heart.
No,
So that whole parable that he gave you about that servant, the one who owed $1 million and then the one who owed $1,000, right? The one who owed $1 million was forgiven by the Father.
Dang, he almost got away.
Yeah.
Almost.
If he wouldn't have had that, if he wouldn't have had that pride when he went to go get the 1,000 from him, if he would have forgave him,
to go get the 1,000.
but that was his mentality. He was showing him that his mentality was wrong.
Well, that was
his lesson.
His lesson.
Yeah, that was his lesson.
Apparently, he didn't learn nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and now look where it got him, right back up in that jail.
And this is Hamashiach Yahawashi saying this is what the Father will do to you. If you refuse to forgive your brothers and your sisters, this is why it's so important, like we said earlier, to forgive. I know it's not easy. You can only hope that through time, that you are given the time, through the power of the Spirit of the Most High, that you have time to get over it, heal, and repent and forgive. Because it's not that you forgiving them for them, you forgiven for the Most High. This is what you have to realize. You're not forgiving that person, that individual, because of what they did, and you forgiving them because this is what the Father told you that you need to do to be more like him. And we know that he's not what? Fleshly, that he's what? Spiritual. And he said, forgive just like I forgive you. What if the Father didn't have no forgiving heart? We wouldn't even have a way. He wouldn't have sent his son. He wouldn't have died. He wouldn't do nothing. We would all just be condemned, go into the lake of fire, and that's it. But then people go to the church and they wave their hands and sing, I want to be worthy. And then when you get out of church and they go and they say, well, you know, what's going on with you and Karen? Oh, forget her. I hate her. I can't stand her. Don't bring her name up in here no more. Wait a minute. I just seen you in church waving and talking about you worthy. And does it Matthew 18:35 says you must forgive your brothers and sisters from the heart? So remember that scriptures, brothers and sisters, Matthew 18:35. Let's get a couple more and we'll close out. Let's get Luke 17 real quick. We almost there. Bear with me, Salakia, for the, like I said, the inconvenience with the technical difficulty, but we almost closed out. Luke chapter 17, and I'll start at verse 1. One day Yahawashi said unto his disciples, there will always be temptation to sin, right? Through the class, you've heard it in the background, in the congregation, where they said it's always going to be temptation, right? You heard that said out there. So clarify, we know that there's always going to be temptation in the world. It says again, but what sorrow awaits the person who does the tempting? Once again, to all my Ahchwathyam and all of my Ahchwathyam out there, the brothers and sisters, be careful what you put out there in the world, especially on these social media platforms. Because you have to remember that not only these human beings are seeing them, but the Most High and Hamashiach sees those images too. And if you cause one of these brothers or one of these sisters, because it's not only sisters, it's a lot of brothers too. If you cause one of them to fall into what? Sin, by tempting them by the things that you post, that sin is going to be attributed to you, brother, or to you, sister. This is why he's saying this. But what sorrow, right? Let's click on this sorrow. Let's see what it means. And he said to his disciples that their stumbling blocks come, but woe. So it's a woe, really. In the King James, it says woe, right? What? Grief, right? That's basically what it's saying. At last, let me see. Yeah, that's all it's really given. It's saying grief, woe, right? So the grief that you're going to be put to them who what? Yeah. So it's a woe, basically. Sorrow, grief. that sorrow and grief that awaits the person who does what? The tempting. I know it looks good now when you take these pictures and you post them and you get all these likes and hearts and DMs, as they say, or whatever these people do. I don't know. But you have to understand that, you know, you may be setting yourself up for this woe or this sorrow. So just be careful. Verse 2, it would be better to be thrown into the sea with a millstone hung around your neck than to cause one of these little ones to fall into sin. So it's better for you to go get a stone cement block, tie it around your neck, and jump in the ocean. That's better than to cause one of these little ones, which is one of us, a believer, to fall into sin. If you wouldn't have posted that, where it says Shalawam and this and that, and they clicked on it thinking that you was a righteous man because you got Shalawam in your bio and all praises to the Most High, but then you taking self pictures with your shirt off or with certain things on, or, you know, whatever the case may be, and you cause a sister to go off because now she can't get that image out of her head of you with your shirt off, which caused her to lust and fall into sin. That's going to be attributed to you. And he's saying it's better if you had tied a concrete stone around your neck and cast yourself into the ocean than to do that, take the picture and put it on social media and call one of the sisters, or cause one of the sisters, I should say, to fall into sin. Verse 3, it says, so watch yourselves. If another believer sins, rebuke that person. What does it mean to rebuke? Tell that person the wrong that they have done. Hey, brother, you shouldn't be doing that. Hey, sister, you know, what we going to do? You know, you can't continue to live like this. You can't continue to, you know, correct them. Then it says, then if there is repentance, right? Okay, Ak, you right. Okay, Ahchwathyam, you right. You know, I shouldn't have did that. I shouldn't live like this. It tells us to do what? Forgive. So that same brother or sister that is a believer, once you rebuke them and you tell them and let them know the wrong that they did or is doing, and they're repentful, and they want to repent of that, it says to what? Forgive them. Verse 4 says, even if that person wrongs you 7 times a day. Like she said, 490, that's a lot. You get what I'm saying? When Peter asked that, but here in Luke, he said, even if they do it 7 times a day, somebody sins against you 7 times, you know, I mean, you will get tired. They keep coming back to you. Oh man, I'm sorry. Then an hour later, oh man, I'm sorry. 30 minutes later, oh, I'm sorry. You like, that's the 4th time.
Keep on going. You got how many? 180 something to go.
And each time turns again and asks for forgiveness, right? That person, each time they turn and ask forgiveness, it says right here in verse 4, you must forgive. It's a must. M-U-S-T, must. You must forgive. So after the apostles heard this in verse 5, they said, the apostles said to the master, show us how to increase our faith. Right? Why did they ask this? Because they needed to work on what? Their forgiveness. They needed to work on that. So they said, show us how to increase in our faith. Show us how to get to that level that you at where you can forgive like this. Even if it's 7 times in a day or 490 times, like Peter said when he asked Hamashiach, 70 times 7. So they wanted to know, like, how do we increase our faith? Now, here we go. This is the last one, and I'm going to close out. This is John chapter 8, right? And here's a good one. The reason I brought this out, because this is a good account, right? Really good. Yahawashi. Everybody know this classic. Yahawashi returned to Mount of the Olives, but early the next morning, he was back again at the temple. A crowd soon gathered. This is the New Living Translation, once again, NLT. And he sat down and taught them. As he was speaking, the teachers of the religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery. They put her in the front of the crowd. Now imagine this woman in the middle of while Yahushua is teaching, right? There's a gathering of people. They drag in this woman, right? They didn't go into too much detail. How was she dressed or clothed? If she was caught in the act of adultery, she may not have had all her clothes on, right? We're assuming though, but we know she was caught in the act of adultery. So they pull her in front of this crowd. Imagine how terrified this woman has to be, right? She knows she's already caught in the act of adultery, which is death, because she's caught now. She's someone's daughter, right? Someone's sister, maybe, right? She's some part of someone's family. And we know if this is in Judah, that she had to probably be more of an Israelite. Doesn't get into detail, but we know that she's under the law, and these things are being presented, and they're bringing her to Mashiach Yahushua in front of this crowd. Now, this crowd is being taught by Hamashiach, so they're not engaging in being thankful of putting somebody to death right now. They're actually being taught. They're learning. But the Pharisees want to cause a ruckus, right? They want to take this away. They want to take this teaching away. So they make this big old commotion. They bring this woman in, put her in front of the crowd, and then they say in verse 4, teacher. Now all of a sudden he's a teacher, right? They're going to show some type of respect. They said to Yahushua, this woman was caught in the act of adultery, right? The law of Moses says to stone her, but what do you say? So now they're going to put the law of the Most High up against who? Hamashiach Yahushua. Because as you can see the way that they worded it, they put the law on standby. But we want to know what you have to say. We want to see how you're going to handle it. Are you a man of the Most High like you say you are? Are you a man of the law like you say you are? Because Moses said we need to stone her and put her to death. But what do you say? Well, let's see what he said. Let's see how he handled it. Verse 6. They were trying to trap him into saying something they could use against him. This is why you have to beware of people, individuals that come into your life that say certain things, right? What are they there for? Are they there to trap you? Are they there to conjure up something? Are they there to use something against you? You have to be cautious of individuals and people that come into your life. What are they there for? Is it beneficial? But Yahushua stooped down and wrote in the dust with the finger. Notice in the Bible, it tells us nothing about what he wrote. Doesn't tell us that, but it allows us to know that he did stoop down and he did write something in the dust. You would think that the writer would elaborate on what he wrote. That's so much of importance because it tells us he stooped down to write in the dust. I, per se, myself personally, I would love to know what it is that he wrote in the dirt at that particular moment. But it doesn't say. So let's move forward. Verse 7. They kept demanding an answer. So he's not rushing. He's in no rush. But they were so demanding that they wanted an answer. So after he gathered himself, what do you think he was doing while he stooped down and he was writing? What do you think he was doing in the mind? Me, I think he was praying or talking with the Father. Me personally. You know, I can't say that with the certainty. That's just speculation. Let's get that clear. But he took that time, which tells us as individuals here on the earth, as ambassadors of a Mashiach, don't always be in a rush. Take your time and don't let other people rush you. So he stood up again and said, all right, that's what y'all want to do. He couldn't go against the law of Moses because that's what had been written. If you're caught in adultery, then you be stoned. And this is what he said. All right. But here it is right here. This is where he gets them. But let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Because remember, you so righteous, right? As we've been saying all day since we started this lesson, why in Sirach 10:9, why is earth and ashes so proud? Right? Why are we so puffed up? Pride. Pride wasn't given to man. It's not for man. Pride is what? When you leave your maker. So he said, okay, you're right. She was caught in adultery. Go ahead and stone her. But listen, the first one who's going to throw this stone, qualifications is that you have never sinned yourself. That you pick up the stone and cast it and throw it. What happened? Oh, go ahead. I didn't see your hand.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
They have a book in China, a secondary. It's insane. They produced a textbook for secondary vocational schools on the subject of professional ethics and law. And they used the story of the woman, the one that you just did right now. And it said, you know how it ends, it says go and sin no more, right? So in the textbook version, in China, it says, when the crowd disappeared, Jesus stoned the sinner to death, saying, I too am a sinner, but if the law could only be executed by men without blemish, the law would be dead. So in other words, they changed it because they're saying that there's basically saying that if the law is still alive, but if it could only be executed by men without a blemish, then it would be dead because every man has a blemish. So they wouldn't be able to execute the law. But yet he was able to do it because, he's not a sinner, but they say
he was able to do it. Let's be honest. He was able to do it because he understood the task and the duty. He understood the task and the journey that he was given to the Father.
Well, they changed that.
You're
not supposed to change nothing, but that's what they did. They made a secondary.
Sit down somewhere. They kept demanding an answer, so he stood up again and said, all right. As she just said, they changed it. And where's that, China or Japan? In China, they changed it. Secondary book. Yeah. I wouldn't encourage you to get that. But it's good to know that they're making these different changes. And it says, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone. Then he stooped down again and wrote in the dust. That's a very important part in verse 8. Why? Because after he gave the okay and said, go ahead and stone her, he moved out the way. He moved out the way. Now, the one that could have picked up the stone to stone her didn't have no sin. At this time, we know he didn't have any sin. He stooped down and moved out the way. The one who was righteous, the one who was sent, the anointed one, he stooped down, moved out the way, and then again, wrote in the dust. I would love to know what it is that he wrote. Unfortunately, once again, we don't know, but I would love to have known what he wrote in the dust then, because he was writing something, and it was for a purpose and it was for a reason. Verse 9, it says, when the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one. Oh, now they wasn't so riled up. Now they wasn't so rah, rah, rah. Now they wasn't worried about that woman that was caught in adultery, because now they understood that they were what? Sinners theirself. They knew that they were what? sick themselves. They knew that what? Just as they were forgiven by the time, at this time, they still had the temple and stuff. So just as they were forgiven when they went to the priest and gave the priest their sacrifices or their offerings for the sins that they have committed and asked for forgiveness of the Most High, is the same thing that this woman should be extended to. When the accuser heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest. Why the oldest? Because the oldest understood it. It hit him right there. It hit him. Wait a minute. Until only Yahawashi was left in the middle of the crowd of the woman. Why didn't they all go all together right away? Because it impacted each one individually. And said, man, wait a minute. And then that one left. And then, you know, when he left, another one looked and say, man, yeah, I know I did that. You know, and then he left. They didn't all just leave as a group. It was one by one. So it let you know it impacted each individual differently, which is a beautiful thing. Until only Yahawashi was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. Then Yahawashi stood up again and said to the woman, where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you? The one who's accused them, he said, didn't one of those men, they brought you up here, didn't one of them accuse you or condemn you? I'm sorry, Salakia. She says in verse 11, no, master, she said, and Yahawashi said, neither do I. Go and sin no more. So the one who could have condemned her, the one who could have cast the stone, the one who could have put her to death, he didn't forgive her. Salakia. He didn't condemn her. He forgave her and allowed for her to move forward, but he told her what? Go and sin no more. Don't continue in this life that you're in committing adultery, because I may not be here tomorrow. I may not be here next week, next month, next year. And these circumstances that happen today might not happen then. And you may be stoned and put to death. And if you're caught in this sin again, then it would be a righteous what? Death. But this is a parable that shows to us that what? We must extend what? Forgiveness, love, patience, a lot of those things that are in the what? Spirit. Because he didn't have to do this. Then it just goes down in verse 12 and it says, Yahawashi spoke to the people once more and said, I am the light of the world. If you follow me, you won't have to walk in darkness, because you will have the light that leads to life. And I don't want to go any further because it starts to go into something else. But the moral of the story is the woman that was caught in adultery. And not only did Yahawashi not condemn her, those men didn't. And he told her, go and sin no more. And neither do I condemn you. And that's a beautiful thing, because he could have, which though lets us know that he has what? Mercy, grace. That thing that she had just been caught in, he forgave her of that. A lot of people speculate that maybe it was false and that she wasn't really caught in adultery. They kind of fabricated that to kind of get, to see what he was going to say. We don't know that with the certainty, but we know that those things happen because that's what's written, and we take it for what it is, So other than the technical difficulty that we went through, I appreciate everybody for tuning in, those that did tune in and will tune in later to watch it. We give all praises, honor, glory, esteem to the Most High, Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahawashi. Like I say, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to hit that like, share it, subscribe. Anybody got anything before we close out? No questions, no nothing?
No.
Okay. Remember those things. Matthew 18:21 is many more. Luke 17, John 8, John 12. I mean, there's so many things that you can go into. Like I say, Deuteronomy, 1 Samuel, the book of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, chapter 28, everything that we went over about forgiveness, you know, and even the short videos that we showed within the lesson, you know. So hopefully it was edifying for you. With that, we say Shabbat Shalawam, Kwam Yasharallah.
Kwam Yasharallah.
And with that, we say peace and blessings to the four corners of the earth. May you have a beautiful rest of your Shabbat day. All praises.